Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the plot points and character developments that will be addressed in Wicked Part 2. We wouldn't want you to be devastated by spoilers, and there are some big ones, so this is your warning.
We have a lot of special things in movie 2 that come to mind, but I can't talk about them yet. So, later.
Number 10. Is there a time jump between parts 1 and 2?
There are bridges you cross you didn't know you crossed until you crossed.
The short answer is yes. While the show doesn't specify a time frame, Gregory Maguire's novel suggests it's been about 5 years. By now, Glinda is widely known as Glinda the Good, leaving her shiz days far behind.
It's good to see me, isn't it?
There's no reason the musical shouldn't follow this timeline too. In fact, March of the Witch Hunters hints at a time shift.
And the lion also has a grievance to repay. If she let him fight his own battles when he was young, he wouldn't be a coward today!
So where's Elphaba been all this time? Well, as we know, she's a fervent animal activist who had just learned that the wizard was behind their oppression. So after she flies away, she fully commits to her role as their defender.
And it sort of becomes this really beautiful, unselfish crusade to help the animals.
Oh.
Act 2's opening number, thank goodness, catches us up on what's happened. Well, at least one version of the story.
Give us warning, where will she strike next?
Number 9. Who was Elphaba's mom's mystery man?
And like every family, they had their secrets.
Have another drink, my dark-eyed beauty. I've got one more night left here in town.
In the opening number, No One Mourns the Wicked, Glinda tries to garner some compassion for Elphaba.
Are people born wicked? Or do they have wickedness thrust upon them?
In a flashback to before she was born, we learn that her mother wasn't entirely faithful to her father. Both on stage and in the movie, the identity of this mystery lover remains a secret, though his green elixir likely explains why Elphaba was born green.
Like a froggy ferny cabbage, the baby is unnaturally
Green.
If you haven't yet figured out who he is, all will be revealed near the end of Part 2, if the movie stays true to the show. We won't give it away, but if you've been paying attention, much like the Yellow Brick Road, all the clues will lead you to the answer. Number 8. What happened to Dr. Dillamond?
Listen to me! You're not being told the whole story!
You can't permit this.
I'm afraid it's out of our hands.
The last time we saw Shiz's history professor, he was warning his students while being dragged from his classroom. Before that, we saw his efforts to raise awareness about the plight of animals and meeting with colleagues to discuss the something bad happening across Oz.
We animals are now being blamed for everything that goes wrong.
After he's replaced, the students are shown how the regime plans to use cages to strip animals of their equality. In Act 2, Elphaba returns to the Emerald City to free the flying monkeys, but the wizard intervenes and tries to convince her they'd still make a wonderful team.
They call me what? So I am one. In fact, it's so much who I am. It's part of my name. And with my help, you can be the same.
She's almost swayed until she finds her old professor, whose condition makes her even more adamant to take down the wizard.
You have no real power.
Exactly. That's why I need you.
Number 7. Will there be any new songs?
That's gonna be a moment. I'm not that girl, please.
Imagine.
Part 1 featured some lyric changes and a new section in one short day, but the soundtrack largely remained the same as fans know it.
Dancing through life, mindless and careless. Make sure you're awareness when you're dancing through life.
Composer Stephen Schwartz wrote new songs for Part 1, but they were ultimately deemed unnecessary. However, he confirmed that Part 2 will include 2 new songs, which he felt were, quote, dramatically necessary.
I was going to name them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know them, nor have I ever heard them.
Have you not?
No, have you? Were you in those scenes?
No, I'm not in the scene. No, I'm not.
A duet between Fiyero and the wizard?
My name's Oz, and my name's Fiyero.
And my name's the Wizard.
Director John M. Chu clarified that these songs will likely be added to the existing soundtrack, as he doesn't plan to cut any of the original score. That said, he noted the importance of pacing and staying true to, quote, the sanctity of the show, meaning some songs might have updated lyrics or be rearranged to better fit the story. Number 6. The End. Does Elphaba get melted?
I'd be so happy I could melt.
If, before watching part 1, all you knew of these characters was from The Wizard of Oz, you might be thinking, oh no, I don't want Elphaba to melt. But yes, that iconic moment had to make its way into the show, only this time it's more bittersweet. Before that, Elphaba has Dorothy captive. Glinda shows up to warn her of trouble ahead and tries to convince her to free the girl. After Elphaba gets a mysterious letter, she urges Glinda to back off to protect herself. They say goodbye for good, and Glinda watches her friend melt. As for the wizard, Elphaba might not be the one who stops him, but let's just say it's no coincidence he's so eager to escort Dorothy home.
You forced me into a cataclysmic decision. The only way to get Dorothy back to Kansas is for me to take her there myself.
Number 5. How does Glinda become Glinda the Good?
It is my heart's desire to become a sorceress. Seriously?
In part 1, Galinda dreams of becoming a sorceress, but Madame Morrible has little faith in her and doesn't seem to like her much either.
You! Come with me.
Of course.
Not you. You. You're the one the wizard has been waiting for.
She only agrees to mentor Galinda at Elphaba's request. By the end of part 1, though, she seemingly changes her tune, comforting Glinda as Elphaba flies away. In part 2, we discovered that this was all part of her plan to win Glinda over.
She's using these two girls to her endgame. It's when you suddenly realize, oh no, the mother figure is not what she thinks.
During Thank Goodness, she fabricates a story about how Glinda reached her position.
When you bowed before his throne, he decreed you'd hence be known as Glinda the Good, officially.
Glinda knows she doesn't deserve it, but remains silent in the face of injustice and lies. While she starts part 2 as Glinda the Good, her story is about truly earning that title. Number 4. Does the Elphaba, Fiyero, and Glinda love triangle develop?
We didn't see you there. You must have blended with the foliage.
Is this how you go through life? Just running amok and trampling anyone in your path?
No. No. Sometimes I'm asleep.
When Fiyero first shows up at Shiz, he and Galinda seemed like the perfect couple. But as he gets to know Elphaba, he starts seeing the world differently and is straw-struck by her.
I see that the responsibility to corrupt my fellow students falls to me.
You pretend to be shallow and self-absorbed.
Excuse me. There is no pretense here. I happen to be genuinely self-absorbed and deeply shallow.
Oh, did we say straw? Can't imagine why.
Maybe I'm brainless, maybe I'm wise, but you've got me seeing through different eyes.
Anyway, Elphaba feels the spark too, but he's dating her bestie, so, awkward. When he comes to see Elphaba off to the Emerald City, even Galinda senses their chemistry. Act 2 opens with a surprise engagement party, where Fiyero refuses to let lies about Elphaba slide and makes it his mission to find her. Our hearts soared when they reunited, but we ached for Glinda as she realizes she's not that girl.
Wishing only wounds the heart.
Number 3. How does Nessarose become the Wicked Witch of the East?
That perfectly adorable Munchkin boy just asked me out.
How does sweet, unassuming Nessarose become the tyrannical leader of Munchkinland? Much of this is explored in the song Wicked Witch of the East, which was omitted from the soundtrack for being too content-heavy. We learn that Nessa is resentful of Elphaba for not using her magic to help her. Elphaba does find a way, enchanting her shoes, which explains why she's so obsessed with getting them back from Dorothy later.
Give me back my slippers. I'm the only one that knows how to use them. They're no use to you. Give them back to me. Give them back.
Keep tight inside of them. Their magic must be very powerful, or she wouldn't want them so badly.
You stay out of this, Glinda.
Meanwhile, Nessa realizes Boxheart isn't tin in their relationship, so she abuses her power to force him to stay. Yet when he decides to pursue Glinda, Nessa tries to cast a love spell. But the results aren't exactly what she had in mind.
So for once I'm glad I'm heartless. I'll be heartless killing her.
Number 2. Do Elphaba and Glinda ever reunite?
It well may be that we will never meet again in this lifetime.
Yes, they do, but not under the best circumstances. Glinda's fiancé leaves her for Elphaba, and her retaliation is unintentionally crushing. Then Glinda gives away Nessa's shoes. This scene sets Elphaba on her path to fully embrace the title of Wicked Witch.
I promise no good deed will I attempt to do no good deed will I do.
But don't worry, this isn't the last time they cross paths. When Glinda realizes she's been manipulated, she rushes to warn Elphaba about the angry mob headed her way. This all ties into For Good, which is the emotional heart of their story. The friends say their final goodbyes, acknowledging the profound impact they've had on each other.
And now whatever way our stories end, oh, you have rewritten mine by being my friend.
All we're saying is make sure you're well stocked on tissues for this moment.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. How does it connect with the plot of The Wizard of Oz?
Fellow Ozians, the Wicked Witch of the West is dead.
The opening scene of Part 1 takes us to the aftermath of Elphaba's melting, with Glinda confirming the events as we know them to her fellow Ozians. In the trailer, you can spot Dorothy and her companions on the yellow brick road, heading toward the Emerald City. Pay attention to what Dorothy's holding.
But if we do that, we'll have to kill her to get it.
As we saw in Act 2, Dorothy has crash-landed in Oz and skipped off to see the wizard in those magical slippers. Another teaser shows Dorothy in her audience with the wizard as he orders, "Bring her to me." Fans of The Wizard of Oz will see the story they know play out in Part 2, but from a totally thrillifying and scandalous new perspective. What else are you hoping to see in Wicked Part 2? We'd have the greatest gratitude if you told us in the comments.
If there are no further questions, I'm gonna go.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.